October 28th. My shot day was October 24th, and I neglected to make a video that day, so we are a little bit late. On Thursday, the 24th, when I woke up in the morning, I was 239 pounds. And then I went to the bathroom, and then I weighed myself, and I was 238 pounds. So I am fairly certain I did not release a pound worth of material and liquid, but it's one of those things. I just thought that I should try again after that. So we're going with 238 as the official weigh-in for that day. When I did my shot, it was 10 milligrams. I'm doing 10 milligrams every 7 days, and it seems like I'm on the right path. I've been having really not bad, but frequent heart palpitations lately. And I remembered that someone said when they are losing weight, they tend to get heart palpitations. So I decided to weigh myself, and I weighed myself yesterday, and I was 235.6. So from the 24th to the 27th, I was down another 3 pounds roughly. I don't know if that'll hold, when I weigh myself on this Thursday on my next shot day or not. But maybe the weight loss has something to do with the heart palpitations. Who's to say? I've been taking my magnesium, my potassium, all that kind of stuff. I've recently heard that, I don't know how to pronounce it, nattokinase, I don't know, is good for blood pressure and regulating circulatory issues. So I'm going to try that. And then bromelain, which I've heard about in the past. Apparently that's good for lowering blood pressure. I don't necessarily know that my blood pressure is very high, but it's when I test it, because I have one of those at-home cuffs, it's always higher, like 130 over 90 or 140 over 90, so that's higher than it should be, because they want you like around 110 for the top number. And I very frequently, when I'm just sitting here, especially depending on how I sit, I'll start to feel and hear my heartbeat. Usually it's just in my left ear. But I have heard that that's a sign of high blood pressure as well. So taking supplements to reduce that is probably not a bad thing. I also heard turmeric is good for, thinning the blood and some other stuff. So I'm going to try a couple different things and see if that helps with the whooshing that I hear. Maybe a side effect will be a decrease in the heart palpitations. I don't know. They're not the really strong, heavy ones that make me gasp and lose my breath, but it's enough that I can tell it's not beating appropriately. It's off rhythm when it happens. So super not fun. Aside from that, I've been feeling okay. I've been sleeping all right. Once I get past the anxiety of having the palpitations while I'm lying down trying to sleep, I've been sleeping okay. I haven't been getting acid reflux or sulfur burps, gas, bloating, that kind of stuff, which is nice. It seems kind of weird to me, but taking 10 milligrams every 7 days, I still generally don't need to eat until somewhere between noon and 2. I'm not hungry, which is really nice, and not at all what I was experiencing when I was doing 6 milligrams every 3 days. I don't know if it's just the increase of the shot all at once. You would think that doing less more often would keep it at a higher overall level in my system. I don't know. But I am doing 10 milligrams every 7, and I'll probably stick with this for a while at least. Even if it's just a pound or 2 a week, I will probably stay on the 10, because I don't really want to go higher if I don't have to. I haven't started taking any of the other peptides that we've talked about in the past, like the AOD or glutathione or anything like that. Maybe in the future I'll do that. I am still taking the BPC 157 tablets. I'll continue to take it until the bottle is gone. And then I'll probably be off of it for, a month or 2. And then I'll use the last bottle that I have. yeah. I've been watching a bunch of movies lately. I watched the Salem's Lot, the new one. There's an old one from the 70s or 80s, I think. This one just came out like a few weeks ago. I just noticed that my posture is really bad. I have this habit of hunching. Didn't used to have that when I was younger, so I will try to work with it. Anyway, so Salem's Lot. It was okay. It was a little formulaic. I thought the acting was well done. I like the lead actor, Bill Pullman's kid. I can't think of what his name is right now. He did a pretty good job. A lot of jump scares, not a lot of blood or gore or anything like that. Just a number. It's kind of a thriller jump scare type movie. It was worthwhile. I don't know that I'll need to watch it over and over again or even another time, but it was good enough for what it was. I can't recall if I mentioned in the last video or not, but I watched Alien Romulus. It's kind of a movie within sequels. So you had Alien, then you have Alien Romulus, then you have whatever the second Alien movie was back in the day. It kind of like fits in between timeline-wise. I really liked it. I thought that the acting was well done. I thought the story was interesting. I would recommend watching it. I thought it was really good. Typically, I should say, when you have movies that try to do that, either to redo the franchise or slot a story in, they're not super well done. I liked this one. So Alien Romulus was good. We watched The Wild Robot. I had read that to my kids. Well, my eldest son read it to himself, and then I read it to my younger son like a year later. I liked it. I thought the acting or voice acting was well done. It's a little bit different than the book, but I still think it's a movie that has heart. So I would recommend it even for adults if you don't have kids. I think that The Wild Robot is a good one. Woman of the Hour with Anna Kendrick. That's a Netflix movie. It's about this serial killer who ends up going on the dating game show. It's based on a true story. I don't know how much it followed the actual storyline, like how much of it's real, but the guy who played the serial killer, I think he did a really good job. It was crazy how much he seemed kind of like a normal person when he was interacting with people. And then it's like when the crazy switch flipped, you could like just see it. He portrayed it very well. So it's one that I'm glad that I watched. It's not one that I will watch over and over again. So, take from that what you will. My husband and I watched Oppenheimer. We wanted to see it earlier, but we just never got around to it. So I didn't know much about that story, and I don't know how much of it is true, to what actually happened, real life events. The history of it was fairly interesting. I thought all the actors were really well done. I thought they portrayed their roles very well. Oppenheimer and his wife Kitty, they had a weird relationship, if it's at all like what was portrayed on the big screen. They had kind of a weird setup. But yeah, long film. I think it's like 3 hours or over 3 hours. But if you're interested in World War II era, somewhat historical films, then Oppenheimer is a well done one. I think it won a bunch of awards when it came out. I think the last thing I watched was a show called Raising Helen, and it has Kate Hudson, and he plays Aiden on Sex and the City. His name's escaping me right now. I did not like it. I watched it because there was like a YouTube short or a Facebook reel or something that had like this one clip with Joan Cusack and Hayden Panettiere, maybe her last name is. I didn't realize it was so old. I think it's from like 2004. But I liked Joan Cusack's role that she did in that little clip that I saw, so I went and got the movie and I watched it. You can save your viewing time. Joan Cusack did her role well. Hayden did her role well. I did not care for John Corbett. That's his name. I did not care for John Corbett and Kate Hudson's characters together. I did not feel any kind of romantic chemistry between the two of them. I thought she played her role like a ditz. Like she just was, I don't know, her voice was a little breathy in it, and I just didn't like the way she played it at all. It was pretty formulaic as far as films go. The idea is Kate Hudson and Joan Cusack's sister dies. The sister had 3 kids who then she left to Kate Hudson. Kate Hudson's character is this glamorous lady who works for a modeling agency, I think is what it is. And so she loves her, nieces and nephews, but never has had kids, never had to really deal with them. And then suddenly she's in charge of 3 of them. Basically the premise. So you can kind of guess how it works itself out. I just did not like it. Watched a little bit more of Banshee. We've started watching this Korean cooking show called Culinary Class Wars. I think it's on Netflix. It's kind of entertaining. It's like, I don't know if you ever watched The Physical 100. That was on Netflix. It's a Korean show on physicality. They do these obstacles against each other. But it's almost like that. So they have voiceovers, and sometimes the voice dubs, they're just so funny the way that they are trying to re-portray the emotion that the original contestants are doing. And then sometimes suddenly they'll be speaking English, and so there won't be a voiceover. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that person just spoke English because like their mouth moved appropriately. So we were really watching for it. And some of them do speak English from time to time. It's like they don't like just flow back and forth in it, but it's there. So it's kind of funny. Anyway, we don't know who wins. We have a couple more episodes, I think, to go. Yeah, just keeping going. I'm still doing the work thing. They cut everyone on Friday, even though we had hours scheduled, because I guess we were over our hours with the client for some reason. So they mandatory time offed all of us. And then they got rid of, they wiped everyone's schedules clean for the next 2 weeks. So all that time that we had scheduled, they just got rid of. And then they're like, all right, 4:00 Eastern, you can jump back on and then reschedule yourself. So they're taking down the amount of bodies needed per half-hour shift. So I was a little paranoid because I didn't get home until 2:15 by the time I came up there. But there were still all these shifts. I got my same exact times because I still had it on my Google Calendar. So I was just looking at the times that I'd already selected, and then I was able to go back in and get those again. And then today when I started, it was a good hour before I had a call, and then it was an hour and 20 or an hour and 30 before I had my second call. So I don't know how many bodies they had scheduled for to begin with, but if we're still only getting calls every hour, it seems like they could do less. And I don't want to say that because I don't want to take a job away from anybody, but it seems like I don't know how many positions were cut per half hour, because it was still a fairly lengthy wait, which I'm not mad about. I actually quite enjoy it. I'm reading this book, this second in a series, and it's just, more time to read, I guess. But that's all that's going on with me here, as much as I can think of. So, I didn't tell you guys, my goodness. So we have 3 cats. They are hunters. The older one, she's more of a birder, and she doesn't catch a lot of things these days. But one of the twins, she catches mice like crazy, and she keeps bringing them into the house. And then I usually have to set the dogs on them because the dogs catch them, and then I make them take them outside. That's happened multiple times. I think I've mentioned it. So I saw this fabric gift bag hanging out from under this closet door in the basement. So I was going to shove it back under, but then I'm like, So I opened the door, and then I saw that there was this desiccated dead mouse in there. And I was like, that's just great. So I, cleaned it up as best I could, and I'm like, I will vacuum it later. Went about my day. A couple days later, still hadn't vacuumed it yet. The cat had another mouse. The boys told me that the cats had a mouse, and she had chased it into the guest room, and then it went into the closet of the guest room. But we use that as a storage area, so the kids couldn't get it out. And I forgot about it for about a day. And then my husband and I were like, okay, we got to do this. So we go in there, and this mouse is still alive. He gets flushed out, but then we can't get it because it goes underneath the bed. So then we have to bring the cats in the room. And so we're pulling the drawers out from underneath this bed and trying to shoo the cats in. It takes a while, but finally one of the cats grabs it, and then she takes off with it. So I was like, sweet. So I'm trying to get her to go out the cat door. Nope, she drops it in the middle of the floor. And I'm like, catch it. So she finally gets it again, and I feel like I pick her up, and I have her to this room that we have designated the cat room, because that's where their litter boxes are and stuff. Then she drops it in that room. So then it's like hiding behind all this stuff that we have in this cat room. And finally I pick up one of the kennels and I'm able to injure it. And then my husband took care of it from there. But earlier, I was going to tell you, when we were in the guest room, there was another dried out, desiccated mouse in the guest room. So we had a live mouse and a dead one in there at one point, right? That mouse didn't smell. The one that was in the under the stairs area that I found the original desiccated mouse in, it was little, but it wasn't like crazy bad or anything, which is why I guess I wasn't worried about picking it up. Well, we got rid of the desiccated one. The live one's no longer in here. I finally decide, okay, I'm going to clean the basement because the cat room was nowhere near as clean as it needed to be. So I made the boys help me and they were not happy about it. But that cat room looks great now. So I decide to take all the junk out that's in the under the stairs closet area so I can vacuum more thoroughly. So I vacuum like where the mouse was, and then I start pulling the stuff out, and I'm like, why does it just smell in here? Like the smell's getting worse, not better. And there's nothing else in there. So I start taking all this stuff out, like old sleeping bags and tablecloths, like runners, and all this kind of just like boxes of junk that we have in there. So I'm pulling this stuff up. There is another dead mouse in there. This one is still very plump though at this stage. That's where the source of the scent was coming from. I have no idea why the other mice, who were like dried up husks at that point, why they didn't smell, but this plump mouse stunk. So I cleaned that up, took everything out, vacuumed it. We have one of those steam cleaner, carpet cleaner, Bissell, Pet Pro, Evolution, whatevers. So I was using that in the basement anyway, so I decided to use that in the under the stairs area. I cannot get that smell out. Like I went over it multiple times. And the fabric that we had down there, I took it upstairs to wash it. I had to wash the tablecloths like 3 or 4 times. And I was using like vinegar and of course cleaning solution. I finally started putting borax in there, and I think the borax is what really helped. Then the sleeping bags, oddly enough, didn't really retain any scent from it. And then I had these down feather pillows that were down there. So I tried washing them a couple times. And I hate these pillows anyway because down always pokes out of them and you're always getting jabbed by like the end of feathers. So it's no fun. So finally I just threw them out because I could not get the scent out of them and we weren't using them anyway. And I wasn't going to give them to a thrift store to be resold, even though they were basically brand new. Yeah. So then I steam cleaned the under the carpet area again, and I'm pretty sure it still smells. So I bought some stuff on Amazon. It should be here, I don't know, in a couple days, and then I will go at it again. But yeah, these cats, I don't even think that they're coming from our yard anymore. I think that they're like outsourcing them from other people's yards. They're catching them in other people's yards and then bringing them into the house. It's ridiculous. I'm glad that they are good at what they do. I would be even more glad if they just focused on keeping the mice out of our house, you know, because I don't think we really would have a problem with mice coming into our house if it weren't for those cats. And then one of the cats, she had a bladder problem a while ago, and she still may. And then we have an older cat who just doesn't give a crap where she goes to the bathroom anymore. So that's one of the reasons we got the steam cleaner, because there's this area of the basement where they have just decided to go. So I've been like, if you guys have any tried and true remedies for getting rid of old cat urine, let me know about it, because I have tried a number of things. And when I shine a black light on it, it still lights up, you know, like the 4th of July. It's super gross. And even though I can't smell it, cats' noses are much more sensitive. And as long as it's still there showing up, they can probably still smell it. And they're probably still going to want to go to those areas to do their business. And I know eventually we'll have to replace the carpet in our house, but I don't want to do that yet. And I would love to just be able to get that stuff gone. So yeah, let me know. Also had a birthday last week. I am, what year is it? I'm 44 now. So happy birthday to me. I got these earrings from my husband. They're so pretty. We went out to eat and I had sushi and Chinese food. It was very tasty. I was extremely full afterwards. Did not have dessert anything because I was stuffed. I was going to go to Costco and get see if they had an apple pie. But then I just thought, you know what? I'm too full. I don't even want to deal with it. So I think I had like a chocolate or a cookie or something the next day, maybe. I can't quite recall. But that's what I did for my birthday. It was pretty low key. And here's to another, revolution, right? All right, guys, I will potentially be seeing you again on Thursday when it's time to do my next shot. Until that time, bye.